Hi everyone, my name is Robin and this is my gaming room build. Hope you'll enjoy. Here we start off by installing the i7-8700K Intel CPU. This processor is amazing in many ways for both gaming and multitasking, such as rendering or editing in Adobe Premiere, for example. Now keep in mind, this CPU is a bit overkill for gaming, but since I'm editing and multitasking a lot, this fits in perfectly in between gaming sessions as well as editing and streaming. If you're building a system mainly for gaming, go with the i5-8400. This CPU is not overclockable, but it does keep up with last gen i7 processors with the same core count and even exceeding them in some instances. Although it does not have hyperthreading, so you should definitely keep that in mind during price consultation. The i7-8700K came out on top for me with 6 cores, 12 threads, shredding at a whopping 12 megabytes of cache, running 3.7 GHz base mode and 4.7 GHz turbo mode. Couple that with an ample cooler and you'll be all set for overclocking. While overclocking, some individuals reach as far as 7.4 GHz, which is totally insane. I should mention that this was done with liquid nitrogen and phase cooling. To say the least, this is not practical, but mainly for bragging rights and awesomeness. Regular overclock in normal states, as far as PC cooling and practicality goes, 5.3 GHz is a solid overclock, which is very doable with a well-ventilated system. Keep in mind though that to reach this overclock you do need to delete your processor, and for best results and stability you do need to apply liquid metal. This processor has already been overclocked, but that segment is best fitted for another video, which will also include TOPS optimization and overclocking for the new 2080 Ti. To keep bragging rights, well, not really, but a worry-free mind, I chose the Corsair H150i Pro Rgb as my CPU cooler. Now, I do realize that making custom water loops usually is the way to go in terms of cooling capability, but I have always felt comfortable using the AIO coolers. Getting near to same temps as a custom water loop, since it still has to cycle through all components instead of just one, except for dual loop builds of course, and keeping within the budget, I went with an AIO. I am not ruling out building a custom water loop in the future though. With its 360 radiator and triple 120mm fans, the Corsair H150i is a beast at work. The Corsair H150i managed to cool down the i7-8700K to about 68 degrees. This was during benchmarking and while overclocked. This is pretty goddamn good. Oh yes, here we go. The G.Skill Trident C Rgb DDR4 32GB 3200 MHz. That's one hell of a name. Finally getting to install the very first on the market groundbreaking Rgb DDR4 RAM. I mean, this is just what gets me going. 3200 MHz of raw power utilizing 32 GB of memory. And I'm pretty confident that RGB on this thing is actually going to speed up my rendering. But as far as RGB, it's grown to be the leading industry selling point for most products on the gaming market, which leads us to question the minds of the builders leaning more and more towards fashion and style. However, don't get it mistaken. These tridents that I got here is no dog in the corner. Once again, 32 GB, it might be a bit overkill. The heavy loads and metas during extended editing sessions will still keep a steady workflow and a fast one. And of course, running RGB RAM, I couldn't for the life of me leave 2 slots unattended. All 4 slots lit up like Christmas, everything is syncable and mappable through Aura Sync, and this will really give the system a touch of its own spice. I mean, the huge brick effect these 4 DIMMs will give is to me an astonishing piece of art. And since my PC will be tabletopped, coolness factor is at high priority. and it will really make me happy looking at it all night. The Asus ROG Maximus 10 Hero. This is Hero. One motherboard made for serious overclocking possibilities. Due to its properties and cooling sections, this board can draw as much as 210 watts from the wall. That's crazy. Most cheaper C370 boards draw anywhere from 100 to 140 watts from the wall. So the 210 watts that the Maximus 10 Hero gives me a big headroom during overclocking. This points mostly to the strong points of the VRMs on this board, so this is very good. Also on board we can find several RGB sections, which of course fits this build nicely. There's even a dedicated RGB section for the M.2 cooling pad, which is really insane. This gives the whole system a really nice and neat look. But all is not without error. The first delivery of this board actually came as a dead on arrival, also called DOA. This mostly points towards a USB overcharge that was happening, so I couldn't even start the computer up. As for the PSU, I chose the EVGA 1000G3. With its 80 plus gold standard and 1000 watts of power, I will have no problem running all the RGB stuff and water cooler in this build. With its hydraulic fan and EVGA developed tipped fins, this PSU holds the quiet level that I require in my system. I mean, sure, whoever heard of a loud power supply? But it's itty bits like this that actually come together to form a reliable system. With its fully modular design, only plugging in the necessary power cables to run the computer never been more important. This helps to keep a tidy case and airflow at max. Adding to quiet level is actually the ITCS of this PSU. It's the Intelligent Thermal Control System. This helps to shut off the fan so it doesn't run whenever the computer is not under load. Well, the moment we've all been waiting for. The juicy RGB madness. Going all in with the Phanteks Rgb Fan Rings. These are put on the intake fans to justify RGB coming from the bottom of the case. The rest of the case is running NCXT-U+. That's two 140mm fans, 7 120mm fans, and 2 LED strips, all controlled by digital RGB. Unfortunately, U+ does not sync with Aura. I actually got it working very well by using Aura to sync Phanteks and motherboard sections, and then using the NCXT CAM software to sync all the NCXT products in the system. Never have I seen such eye candiness before. With the first press of a button, every RGB component in the system giving 15% performance boost. And that's in any activity you might be doing, or so I've heard. For some serious headroom in terms of speed, I'm running the 970 EVO from Samsung. It's an M.2 drive running NVMe and at the speed of 3400 megabits per second. Now I could have easily gone with the Samsung 970 Pro, but since this drive is mostly going to be used for OS and some primary picks of the Steam library, of course, I saved some bucks on shorter write life. 250 gigabytes will serve fine as my boot drive. Although the MLC NAND is still the faster but older multi-level cell, the TLC in my EVO will store more data in each of its cells, making it considerably cheaper. Now this is thanks to more voltage checks per cell, while almost catching up to the MLC Pro speeds. For my not so prime Steam library, I'm using two of Samsung's 840 EVO SSDs. These are running at 530 megabytes per second, so that is perfect for an extra library. And for mass storage, I'm running a Barracuda 3TB running at 7200 RPMs. That's really fast. And for some raw files waiting to render, I got two 1TB drives just for the mass storage. Finally, the 2080, finally! Oh, fuck. Came out of its enclosure. Broken, dude. Psych! It's not broken, guys. You got pranked. As far as the GPU though, 2 months I waited for an Rgb 1080 Ti which never arrived. The timing couldn't be better though. That was actually perfect for the launch of the 2080 Ti. The obvious pick at release was actually the 2080 Ti RGB X Trio from MSI. This project actually strives towards beauty and RGB, of course, so an RGB 2080 Ti couldn't fit in better. The all-new generation of NVIDIA's flagship products released and put on this build just feels awesome. The tri-thruster design uses MSI's Torex 3.0 fans. These fans have double ball bearings to support the constant airflow going into the aerodynamic case built for this GPU. Heat pipes are concentrated over the most crucial parts of the GPU, which is the core and the VRMs. They have a widespread design to make sure the heat dissipates over the whole thin stack area. All in all, the cooler is manufactured to fit the custom PCB created by MSI to get the best performance available. Well, that just leaves us with this. The end result being a powerful machine for both productivity and gaming, as well as cozy movie nights in bed, of course. That's it for today. In the very near future, I will start streaming games like Fortnite and Call of Duty Blackout, so stick around for that. So be sure to flick, smash, and slap that subscribe button. And you certainly know what to do with the like button. That's right, throw it out the trash. You got a dislike button just sitting there waiting to justify all the cringiness that's been going on in this video. So, do what you like. Wait, don't go anywhere just yet. I got B-roll candy waiting just around that corner. My name is Robin, and this has been my gaming room build. managed to download that. Okay. Slots lead up. Oh.